Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, Pedro Pascal is calling fans butthurt. Uh-oh. Someone just tagged me in this. Let's see here. See why he's calling fans booty hurt. Let's see here. Sure that's something to do with The Last of Us. Alright, says here, coming from MovieWeb, Pedro Pascal condemns butthurt filmgoers who complain about race swapping. Let's see here. Pedro Pascal sees the value in race swapping and diverse casting, unsure why some people get so butthurt about it. Alright, well, no one has ever had a problem with diverse casting. We have had diverse casting for a long time. The race swapping, however, is just like years and years and years ago when they used to whitewash certain characters that you knew weren't white. You're fundamentally changing these characters. Characters that people have already connected with and grown to love. Therefore, keep them the same. There's no need to change Peter Parker to Japanese, because he's not. That's why. It's very simple. Very, very minor amount of the fans are complaining because they are racist. The racists wouldn't go see certain movies anyway. They just wouldn't, because they don't want to see any other color than who they are. Correct? All right, then. So, let's see here. The Last of Us star Pedro Pascal is weighing in on the controversial subject of race swapping, gender swapping, and other methods of improving diversity in casting. On social media, we can pretty much expect to see some complaints, or many complaints. It says here, some complaints. Anytime a character previously portrayed as white is changed into another ethnicity in a new movie or television series. We saw quite a bit of this recently with the release of The Little Mermaid, which introduces Halle Bailey as a black incarnation of Ariel. That led to those unhappy with the casting to express their disapproval on social media using the hashtag #NotMyAriel, even months before the movie was even released. No, because it wasn't their Ariel. It wasn't. I went to see it, and I enjoyed myself. But I understood why people were like, no, because that's not Ariel. I mean, from what I understand, it even came from a more, like a European folklore type thing. So it was like, even in fantasy, things are still grounded. Groot. I am Groot. Things are still grounded somewhat in the reality of certain situations. So you wouldn't do a Black Panther movie and then race swap Black Panther to white or Asian or Indian, which is actually Asian, or Arab. He wouldn't be Black Panther anymore. It's fundamentally who the character is. He's a black man. African. That rhyme they played the game. Bars. Okay? So people grew up being a European redheaded girl. That's who she was. They changed the Annie a while back, didn't they? I didn't see that movie, but when I heard about it, I was just like, why are they changing it? Whatever. But back then, it wasn't such a major push for them to throw so many things in our entertainment now. And as you can see, a lot of these companies are being financially destroyed because they're trying to push these characters that aren't the characters that people have grown to love. And a lot of the people that have grown to love these characters are adults now with their own families. And I'm sure they'd rather see what they grew up with. They have an attachment to it. They want to introduce their kids to the characters that they grew up with. You know what I mean? At its core, I wouldn't say that it's, a bad thing to looking at it on the surface, say, looking at it at its core, looking at it on the surface, oh yeah, why not make this? Well, the main reason why you won't want to do it is because people have already identified and have connected with these characters over the years. You do not mess with people's escapism. You don't mess with it. You leave it alone. Their escapism is attached to character or characters that they have grown to have maybe a stressful release to them. You know, you got people that love Star Wars that, you know what, in their stressful life, whether it's their wife, children, whether it's the job, whether it's bullying, no matter what it is, they can sit down, watch the Star Wars trilogy, the original, or even the prequels, and they could just escape and just know who these characters are and just love it and connect and just be free for a while. But then people want to come around and change that. You know what I mean? So the next Star Wars, maybe they'll do some in-between movies. Maybe Darth Vader gained 100 pounds. And maybe he's waddling around because he's an overweight, Darth Vader. You know what I mean? He's having a hard time walking. I've gained some pounds. I've weighed more than this before, and that shit hurts. Okay? My feet hurt. It makes me walk different. I don't walk as upright, and I don't want to use the word erect, but that's something I can think of more. You know what I mean? Like, when I was smaller, I had better posture, just everything, you know? But they'll do that just to be more inclusive and diverse, to be stunning and brave. That's not who Darth Vader is. Darth Vader does not have a weight issue. You know what I'm saying? They throw all types of, it don't matter. It's sexuality. It's whether you're big or small, whether you're attractive or not, whether it's different races. It's like you gotta switch everything nowadays. And it's like you never had to do that. We've had characters already throughout the years that were LGBTQ, that were male, female, every color of the rainbow. We've had it all. Overweight, slim, good looking, not so good looking, that have all been famous characters that everybody identifies and loves. And you're saying now you need more of it? And your way of more is to change all these characters that everybody has grown to love? It doesn't make any sense. Make brand new ones. If you want to do all the race swapping and all, just make brand new ones. Stop changing everything else. I heard with Indiana Jones that there's a rumor that its original ending that will be coming out. The original ending was what everyone had heard that it was. It was that, he was going to die, and the woman in the movie would take his hat and his whip and would become Indiana Jones. And they got such a huge amount of backlash from all these test screenings that they went back and they refilmed it. Who in their right mind thought that that was going to work? Who? Tell me who. No one. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So Pascal, who's also known for his popular roles in Star Wars, addressed the topic in Variety. And if Variety says it, it's true. I don't trust anything but Variety. For those of you late on that joke, when I first started doing a lot of these stories, people would tell me, well, giant freaking robot said it, I don't believe him. Oh, well, that's a cosmic book news, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's not coming from nobody reputable like Variety. And like so many times I saw people say, if it ain't from Variety, I don't care who says it. So that's why I always say that. Even though there have been several other news websites that have gotten news right and didn't need Variety to say it first. You know what I'm saying? He was asked about being seen as an actor rather than as Pedro Pascal, the Latino guy that we have for Latino roles. And that had him commenting on how important it is to improve representation in all the movies and TV shows. The actor believes that the focus should be on just casting a person into a role as opposed to limiting a character by identity, suggesting all fictional characters should be fair game when it comes to race or gender. False. I don't believe that. I'm going to have to disagree. I have to disagree respectfully. I'm not going to hate on him or harass him or call him a bigot or like the people doing on social media doing. People don't agree with them. I just don't believe that. There are certain fundamentals you lay down in archetypes, and there's certain things you have an outline for a character when you're creating them, how you want them to be. And that becomes that character. You do not change those things. You do not change the fundamental basics of the outline that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so now we have a black Spider-Man, right? So we got Miles Morales, okay? We want him to be half black, half Puerto Rican, okay? So he's racially diverse. Puerto Ricans are triracial people. And of course he's African American, which he could also have some other races in him. When you're African American, like for myself, I have Italian, I have Irish, and I am Native. I am Blackfoot Indian, and I'm also Cherokee. But of course, I'm mainly African, not of Nigerian blood descent. So, you do not change him to then be Chinese in the next movie because you feel you need to do diversity. That's not how it works. Okay? That's just going off the rails and changing the character for no reason. You know what I mean? Like I said, I personally think a lot of all this diversity stuff and changing sexuality, changing the races, changing the genders, gender swapping, all this stuff, I think it's a big old social experiment that they're doing. That's my personal view. I think they want to see how far they can do, what they can mess with people. It's all scientific, messing with the human mind. That's why I've stayed calm throughout this. I'm just like, they ain't gonna make me mad no more. I'm just gonna watch the world burn. Like that little girl in that meme. That little girl watching the house burn down, and she got that look on her face. That's how I'm watching these companies destroy themselves by taking away from people what they've grown to love over the years. You know what I mean? Some people, they're 50 years old, and they go see a new movie of a character they loved when they was a kid, and you've totally changed them. Doesn't make any sense. I think that the change is really important, and the best way to continue. See, because even change can be, even slight changes can truly make people unhappy if it fundamentally changes the character. For example, the whole thing with Han shot first. Talk to George Lucas about that, okay? Talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's, this small changes to characters can fundamentally change the character. Stop messing with people's pastime. Stop messing with their escape. I'm trying to tell you, companies, hey, I'm a fan of a lot of you companies, and you changing my characters all up. And I'm just like, oh, you want to keep on doing it? You ever see, I feel like a parent that tells a kid to stop doing something sometimes. You ever see that when something stop playing around and you don't get hurt? Stop. AKA financially hurt for these companies. Stop it. Disney, stop it. HBO, stop it. You're going to get hurt. Stop playing around. Okay. And then you sit there and you ever see the parent watching them? And the kid, boom. Told you. What did I tell you? I told you to stop. And what did you do? Now you're hurt. You gonna do it again? No. There's some kids that have they're hard-headed Disney, hard-headed HBO, hard-headed Warner Bros. You're gonna go and you're gonna run into that damn wall again. Usually they'll learn on the second time. When I was younger, I had a family member who was younger than me. I'm not gonna say who he is because I ain't gonna out him like that. He kept picking up bees. He would go and pick up bees, and it took him more. Yes, bees, bumblebees, yellow jackets, any ones that he could find, and he kept getting stung. I mean, what kind of... I get it, kids are curious. You ain't gotta sting me but once. I asked my mom, I was like, did I ever have that problem? She was like, no. The first time you were stung, that was it. This kid, I saw him one day, his eyes were swollen because he got stung in the face. Like those dogs that attack hornets' nests or whatever. He got stung in the face because he kept trying to fiddle with some yellow jacket nest. I'm like, some people just don't learn. He eventually learned, but it took more than 3 times. I think the change is really important, and the best way to continue representation is just casting a person that isn't limiting a character to racial identity. Characters are more than racial identity, and you change some of these characteristics also, and people get angry. Sometimes you change characteristics, people don't really get that angry, and sometimes they do. People didn't like Henry Cavill snapping Zod's neck. They didn't like Ben Affleck killing people because Batman doesn't kill. Superman doesn't kill. He would have thought of something else. But these characters have killed. But I know what the fans are talking about. Now, I personally didn't have a problem with it because I saw Christopher Reeve's Superman crush Zod's hand, throw him into a wall, and he slid into the abyss of the Fortress of Solitude. And I didn't hear people complaining for years about that. I saw Michael Keaton's Batman shove a bomb into the drawers of the fat circus man, give him a right-handed faceplate, and he fell in a hole and blew up. I didn't hear people complaining about that. Although I do remember hearing that Batman Returns was a little too violent for people. Even Michael Keaton wanted to get away from that at that time. So these small changes, you see, these aren't race, but these are personality changes that you're making to these characters. You get what I'm saying? So these are also fundamentals. You have character traits. You have what race they are. You have whether they're male or female. You have, their hair color. A lot of this stuff matters. And once that character is cemented in people's minds and they have fully imprinted, if you will, onto these characters, they fall in love with them. Do not change these characters. Leave them alone. It's okay. I feel it is okay to make small changes in stories, and that's why they don't deviate too much most of the time. Now, they do way more in comics. But a lot of times they'll reel it back in if a book starts to fail when they make certain changes. Whether it's the art style, sometimes people they don't like how the characters are drawn anymore. This all really is important for these characters. I think, let's see, even if it's an IP that we're familiar with or a book and people get so butthurt about this kind of stuff, but who cares? Well, the fans care. That's who cares. So he's just one person speaking on this, so in his mind, he doesn't care. However, millions upon millions upon millions of fans do care, and that's why these companies have been losing millions upon millions of dollars by changing these characters fundamentally like this. Because that is the coolest way of moving the needle. To you, it's the coolest way of moving the needle. To the millions of fans, it's not the coolest way of moving the needle. And many times directors and actors and producers find out the hard way. Even YouTubers. Sometimes I'll do a video that I think is really going to hit, and I'll find out that my fans really don't care about it. Hey, whether it hurts or not, or whether I think it's cool or not, and I can be right, but my audience doesn't care. Maybe another audience cares, but not my audience. And guess who you need to cater to if you want to make the most money and be as popular as possible? Your audience, your fan base. Is being open about casting anyway, moving the needle, is being open about the casting in every way. No, I don't think so. And by the way, sometimes you get these directors or people that'll say something like, we just got the best person for the job. You're right. I don't know how many working actors there are on the planet. I would assume there's, at the most, there are thousands. Okay, there are thousands. I mean, at the least there are thousands. Because you got around the whole world. I don't know how many people are actors, but you gotta have thousands. I don't know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, but you got thousands, right? You're telling me you couldn't find one person on the planet that fit this character as much as possible. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You chose to pick somebody that was that radically different, whether it was, a gender or sexuality or race or several things. Their weight, they're good looking, they're not, whatever. You chose to do that. Do not say that you couldn't find somebody to do it. You know what I mean? Okay, so Todd McFarlane, I think he was doing a movie with Jamie Foxx. I don't know if they finished or not, but he was chosen to be the next Spawn, right? If Todd McFarlane came out and said, listen, I got this great South Korean man to be the next Spawn. He's the best for the job. There is no one on the planet that is going to believe that he could not find a black man that could play Spawn perfectly. There's no way. Yet they say stuff like this. There's no way. This isn't to say Pascal wants to see representation forced into projects. That's what it sounds like. Feeling that there should also be efforts made into crafting the strongest story possible. In any case, he suggested that we are making progress. Even in Hollywood, the directors and producers are still trying to figure out the best way to go about it. You already found the best way to go about it a while ago. You guys already found some of the best ways to do it. And with tried and true characters, you are not going to want to fundamentally change them. With new characters, go ahead. Fundamentally, with the tried and true, with the ones that have a huge fan base, with the ones that people love, and have marriage themes too, and go to Comic-Con for, don't change them fundamentally. Leave them alone. I wouldn't do it. To me, you guys are doing nothing but giving me a ton of videos to make. Okay? And my fans love to hear videos and my thoughts on what all these crazy changes that y'all are doing. Okay? But I'm at a point to where I've learned to disconnect from these certain characters that I've grown to love because they are being destroyed. Franchises are being destroyed. But I do have my old copies on DVD and Blu-ray, and I can watch all of those and be happy. And I do not have to move forward in the muck that they are making with a lot of these new changes. It's very rare that you fundamentally change a character and people like it. One example that I can think of is Bumblebee from Transformers. Bumblebee, he was a very likable character. He was the character that was friends with Spike Wiki. And he was that, I guess, go-between. Because, they always say we have to have humans in the movies for us to connect with. False! But I think that's why they did it. So that, there's that human connection to the Transformers. But he wasn't a badass. He would get Spike out of situations, and he was a great guy. And, hey, Optimus, what are we going to do? He was a nice guy. They turned him into a super badass that couldn't talk. And all this other stuff, I still don't like the fact that he can't talk. But wow, what they did with him, I would argue is better. How many characters can you say that truly happened with, though? Where they made a change like that and people are like, that is way better. Almost none. Now, instead of being like, these are the instructions, this is how we need to follow, let's label what representation is and follow those. Pascal says, no, I think we need to continue discovering it and making sure that we understand that representation, good Lord. I mean, how many times did he say representation is the service of telling the story instead of fulfilling a political frustration, which is totally legit also. He further explained, it's a very interesting thing to navigate, and I think that it deserves all of the attention in the world so that we do navigate it, and that the needle does move, and that things do kind of change. Pascal will return to okay. Now, he gets a very hefty paycheck in the series and movies that he's in, so, you know. I don't know if he truly believes what he says. Maybe he does. I don't know. I can't wait to see the reimagining of Enter the Dragon where Mr. Lee is played by Scott Adkins. I bet you Scott Adkins would turn down that role. Like, Mr. Lee is from the Shaolin Temple. How am I playing? Huh? They adopted me? I was left on the doorstep? Look, I cannot, as a Bruce Lee fan, I cannot play Mr. Lee. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't make any sense. This has been a long video. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all think, though. If you enjoyed my reaction and thoughts to this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Do not go hate on Mr. Pascal. Leave him alone. He's free to say whatever he wants to say and feel how he wants to feel. It is what it is. But I just had to give my 2 cents since people kept tagging me in that article or sending it to me. 10 million subscribers. Woo!